not a Cass fan. And then for the last 11 minutes or so of the half, I guess I was like, oh, at least I'm not a Salford fan. But it was really fun. It was really good to watch, and it wasn't just through crap play and mistakes, was it? There was a bit of that, but there was a bit of opportunistic stuff from both sides in attack. But
yeah,
it was from good play as well, wasn't it? That he got to that score at half time. I know the defences were not on top when you've got 8 tries by half time or whatever you had, yeah. But that doesn't matter, does it?
No, there was good play. I mean, I think if you look at the Evalds try and the McShane's second try, they both had similarities in the way that they kind of the way that the ball moved backwards and forwards to kind of confuse the defence and kind of create the gaps.
Evalds' first try was beautiful.
That's the training ground one, that, isn't it?
Yeah, tore him apart. Did not have a clue, did they, Cass, there with that?
No, one way or the other.
They went from having 4 players around the ball to no one anywhere near Evalds. It was amazing.
Yeah, fantastic try. Possibly the best of the weekend.
McShane's one where he sort of took the offload, set through the gap, set the player through the gap, and then followed it up was pretty nice as well, though, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think that was the second one. Yeah. So it was it had similarities. I think this game for me swung on Gil Dudson and Liam Watts. When Dudson absolutely whacked Liam Watts, it kind of woke him up for me. Because he started, he came back to the kind of Liam Watts we all know, the offloading kind of monster that he is in attack. And it kind of, for me, it stirred Cass back into this one. So it was it was a good hit, and Watts felt it, but he might regret it in one way, because he was a different player after that hit. Watts. He was playing through the pain maybe, but he was excellent.
I think it maybe made himself feel like I can stand up to this. I've taken a massive whack and I'm up and I'm ready to go. So it was almost like a physical reset for him. You're right. That did feel like a strangely significant moment, and the outcome of it all, where Dudson hit the ball on his way through with the tackle, so it meant it was a scrum to Cass as well. It seemed like what should have been a momentum shifting moment to Salford, because the hit was so spectacular, ended up being the exact opposite.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Yeah, I would say the other fundamental significant thing, I think, is there was just a bit more composure overall. I think there was a kick that went out on the full from Richardson, but other than that, this was his best game in a Cass shirt by a distance, I would say, from his 10 or 11 games so far for the Tigers. That this was his best one.
He still had his headless chicken moments, though, didn't he?
Sorry?
He still had his headless chicken moments a couple of times.
There was just that kick out on the full, I thought. I don't think otherwise he caused any problems. And I think as well, you got to wrap it up in the fact that Matauti was just playing as another ball runner. He was playing as like a rugby union inside centre.
Oh, yeah, being kind of isolated, it makes it difficult, doesn't it?
But it seemed to bring out the best in him.
Maybe what I'm thinking of is the kind of times where he would be looking to a kind of a conventional halfback, and he had to change his mind, and it made it look a little bit clunky because of that. Maybe. Yeah, but there's individual skill for his try that got Cass back into it. I mean, that was fantastic, because at that stage, Cass looked completely lost and floundering, and that was, again, another one of those moments where he was looking around to kind of see what kind of play can I put on with my teammates, and realised there wasn't going to be one. He had to go for something himself, and he pulled a magic trick out of the box there, really. And I do think as well, a couple of the Cass players who've been probably calling for getting dropped by some of their fans and stuff. People, McMeekan, Millington, I don't think they've been very good since the resumption, but they were both really good in this game and scored the crucial tries in the second half as well, I thought. Yeah, and it helps if you've got a couple of decent drop goal kickers in your team, doesn't it? So
yeah, I mean,
that might come in handy.
We haven't done the Man of Steel and League Express Albert Goldthorpe points, have we, yet? But I think we've talked about all the players that were involved in it. But Man of Steel went with McShane 3, Richardson 2, and Watts 1. And the Albert Goldthorpe went with Richardson 3, Watts 2, and McShane 1. I'd probably lean more towards that second list as how I saw this game go. I think McShane's always going to have an influence because he's around the ball all the time. Because he's a hooker, and he's a hooker that has to take some level of charge of his side as well, with the way they play. But
yeah, I like McShane, but when you look at the Man of Steel points, he doesn't feel like he's head and shoulders above any other player, does he? Just in terms of performances. No,
and he had some great moments in this game that were important in making sure that Castleford won it. But I think they never would have been. McShane wasn't the reason they got back into this game, and they never would have been close to this game if it was just what McShane was doing. I think the change up in the way Richardson played and what Watts was able to start doing was, to me, more significant personally.
Yeah, I'd agree. You don't want to make Watts angry. He'll.
No. Some nice stuff in attack from Salford again, but I do think in the second half it's not necessarily errors as such, but they just didn't. They don't have the same composure. Lola here is a instinctive player. He probably requires some sort of speed from his team, and that went. And also they had to take Evalds off, didn't they, right near the end? I'm not quite sure why, but they ended up with Lola here at fullback and Lussick in the halves, and that just led to a few costly errors in execution at that late stage of the game that just unfortunately wasn't going to be there for the Red Devils. No, it was a bit of a it's one of those games that you'll feel sad for losing, but it was a very entertaining spectacle for us on Thursday night. Definitely. On to what was an entertaining spectacle from one side, but that's about it. On Friday, Huddersfield 6, St Helens 54. It was all over at half-time, really, with a 20-0 scoreline at that stage. Liam Moore was the referee. The Giants made only 847 metres and had an 87% team tackle success rate, so you know you're going to get a fucking spanking if that's where you're getting at your stats. But, on the flip side of that, St Helens made 1,944 metres, over 1,000 more than Huddersfield, and they set a new SLP all-time record, passing the 1,904 Leeds made against Bradford back in 2014 round 9. So, I mean, nearly 2,000 metres in a Super League game, with the way we do the statistics, I think being slightly different to the NRL, because you do see the occasional one slip over 2,000 in the NRL every now and again. But that is massive.
Yeah.
Absolutely massive. And hugely dominant. Individually, Regan Grace 2 tries, 233 metres, 2 clean breaks. Kyle Amor 167 metres. Alex Wormsley 1 try assist, 8 tackles, 160 metres, 4 successful offloads. The guy is on a different planet. Johnny Lomax 2 try assists, 146 metres as well from him. For Huddersfield, young player Dom Young playing his first game of the year, I think, and it wasn't his debut, was it? I think he's played once before, but
he played last year, yeah.
Yeah. He made 147 metres and 3 clean breaks to show what he might be able to offer to the Newcastle next year. Owen Trout, who was on his Huddersfield debut, but not his Super League debut, had a try, 42 tackles, 16 marker tackles, and no missed tackles as well from the youngster. Joe Wardle, 48 tackles, 13 marker tackles, and Oliver Wilson, 43 tackles, 10 marker tackles.
Yeah, just one view on this one from St David. Saints with a weakened team thrashed Giants with an even weaker team. Enjoyed the tries, but it wasn't much of a contest in truth, as Huddersfield tired badly. Saints pack looks formidable, and the defence is back to last year's parsimonious best. Wellesby looks like he'll be a player, and we better sign Bentley to a long contract sharpish. Onwards.
What, so they can demand a transfer free from the NRL? Because that's the only direction people like him and Knowles are going with the way they're performing. Although James Bentley got a grade A dangerous contact charge, no games because he hasn't had any penalty notices already this year, but watch that and the Ben Flower one and tell me the difference, because I'm being facetious, I want to understand. Man of Steel points, Coote got 3, Bentley got 2 and Walmsley got 1 in the Albert Goldthorpe. Walmsley got 3, Lomax got 2 and Wellesby got 1. Where do you think the I've run out of superlatives that I'm willing to say for this St Helens side.
All right.
So
I know it's painful for you, mate. It's fine.
What do we say?
I think the points and the kind of the slightly random way that they've been allocated, it just argues how clear this was in terms of, it was no contest really. The Giants looked very, very thin in terms of what they had, in terms of the players they were able to put on the field. Even so, I didn't think that either of their halfbacks did anything. They made some elementary errors, like with kicking, out on the full, and they just didn't manage the game at all, which kind of contributes to the fact that they only made 147 metres. Yeah, God, Saints were just too good. Was Roby rested, or was did he have a knock or something?
He went off really, really late in that game where I think he had a head check or something really late on in that game the week before where he played halfback, I think. I can't remember exactly, but I think he did. I'm not sure if he had to go off with it or not, but I think it might have been precaution around that. Yeah. I'm not sure. And also, they knew that the Giants, the side they were going to be playing, was going to be absolutely stripped bare of its forwards. I mean, the most experienced forward was James Gavey, and I don't remember him being on the pitch. So he certainly didn't do anything. So that didn't help the young halfback pairing.
No. But no, I mean, I think Bill S. Preston, he looked all right, didn't he? His evolution as a player kind of continues for me.
Yeah, he's playing with an absolute winning pack. James Graham probably had his best game yet, but it's hard to judge because of what they came up against. Yeah. Jack Wellesby played well. He didn't make me convinced that he is a halfback, but he played well again in the side, which makes me more convinced that he is a Super League caliber player. There's just a couple of little bits to iron out in his game as he keeps progressing, but if I keep saying these sorts of things, then what might happen is what happened with Regan Grace, where he actually ironed out all those things that I used to criticise him for. So I don't want to say it. Stay as you are, keep the mistakes in your game. This is as good as you're going to get, mate. Just stop it. Because do you remember I used to say, look, Grace isn't that finished article that everyone says he is. There's more to come. And
yeah, I remember that.
It's totally delivering to that level now. There's still the odd time where he gets out jumped, but that's because he's not that big, and that might be the main hurdle for him being an NRL target. No matter how much X factor the kid's got, no matter how much skill and verve and excitement in the way he plays, those physical things that he can't control in terms of being out jumped and stuff, that might still remain an issue for that, which is worrying because it more likely then means he might get targeted by Welsh Rugby Union, which we don't want him to go to. We'd much want him to stay in our sport and get to enjoy him that way. So, but yeah, he showed again why he's so class, didn't he? Fucking joke.
Yes. In summary, Saints were annoyingly good in this match, and it.
It was easy. The second half was easy. I do think there was an element of, not bad luck, but sort of bad luck in the first half. The tries seemed to come, unfortunately, easily in the first half against Huddersfield. I think some of the things that happened weren't necessarily them doing things bad. It was just the things were falling right for Saints. But in the second half, after the Owen Trout try, it just
good.
seemed to reinvigorate Saints, and they then went and scored 4 tries in the 15 minutes that followed that try. So and it was just a case of, I was watching this game on like delay on watchback because I'd watched the cricket, so I was fast forwarding like repeats of tries, but it just felt like I was fucking fast forwarding for 15 minutes because all you got was